I'm Kim Stringer. I'm the Director for Scotland for Vegetarian for Life, also known as V for Life. We are here to support older vegetarians and vegans and those who care and cater for them. We have a range of resources which are available, and these include things like quite a huge range of recipes. We have menu plans, we have nutritional guidance, we can do caterer training, so people can sign up to receive our subsidised caterer training courses. We have a UK listing, which is an opportunity for care homes who are able to provide vegetarian or vegan food to sign up to this list, which is published on our website. This gives older vegetarians and vegans who are looking for a care home the chance to choose one which has agreed to sort of cater well for them. The best thing to do is to have a look at our website. On our website, we have a signing up form. The other option is anyone can get in touch with me at any point, and I think my details will be available. In essence, the key thing is that if you visit our website or get in touch with us, if you've got any questions about nutrition or any questions about what you can feed vegan or vegetarian residents, then just get in touch with us and we can take it forward and give you the advice and support that you might need. Food and fluid is important for the health of everyone in the population and also, of course, vegetarians and vegans. It's important to have a balanced, nutritious diet at all stages of life, and especially when you're older. A plant-based diet has been shown actually to be beneficial in many ways. There are lower incidences and risks of heart disease, diabetes, cancers. And I think people assume that a plant-based diet maybe won't give you all the nutrients that you need, and this isn't the case. A plant-based diet can provide everything that you need. The exception to that is possibly B12. If you're a vegan, then you need to make sure you're having fortified foods such as cereals or soy milk, or take a supplement. But with the exception of that, most things can be adequately provided by a plant-based diet. There's also the power plate, which bases food on 4 main food groups, which are legumes or pulses, grains, vegetables, and nuts and seeds. And again, this totally eliminates meat, but it has a very balanced diet if you follow this carefully. It's estimated that there are around about 6,500 vegetarians and vegans in care homes in the UK at the moment. And this number is expected to grow. The Vegan Society think that in the last 10 years, there's been about 360% increase in the number of vegans. Therefore, even if you don't have many vegetarians or vegans in your home at the moment, it's quite likely that in the future you will have. And this is expected to increase. There aren't any completely vegetarian or vegan care homes in Scotland, and this means that it's quite likely that a vegetarian or a vegan will be catered for in a mixed environment. And of course, vegetarian or vegan food can appeal to everybody. There's no reason that other residents can't also enjoy vegetarian and vegan foods. And some homes have started to introduce a vegetarian or vegan week, or perhaps a vegetarian or vegan day, and this seems to have been really very popular. I think it's very important to consider individual likes and dislikes for a number of reasons. I think there's the danger sometimes that people assume things maybe about people's diet. For example, not all vegetarians actually like vegetables. Not all vegetarians like mock meats. Mock meats are a really useful way of cooking a meal that's vegetarian but very similar to perhaps the one that you're giving to meat eaters. For example, if you're doing a cottage pie, you could do it with either soya mince or corn mince or lentils. That way everybody could eat the same meal, but the vegetarian or the vegan has a meal that's suitable for them. But it's important to ask, because not everybody likes the same thing. It's also important with vegetarians and vegans to consider that they may well have been vegetarian or vegan for a number of years, in some cases perhaps 60 years, 70 years, it could have been their entire life. So it's really important to honour their beliefs and their ethical values. I think one of the key things to consider is to actually speak to people and find out what they do or don't eat. For example, you mentioned pescatarians. But even within vegetarians, there's a huge range of different vegetarians. Some vegetarians will eat eggs and milk. Some will have milk or dairy, but not eggs. Some don't have any. Vegans don't have any animal products at all. Pescatarians obviously have fish. It's very important, I think, to find out what exactly people do want to eat and what they don't want to eat. But when catering for them, it's also really important, I think, certainly with vegetarians, not to just rely on eggs and dairy. There's sometimes a tendency to rely on an omelette or perhaps macaroni cheese, whereas actually there's a huge range of things that you can use, the amount of nuts and seeds, you can have all the colours of the vegetables. And mock meats can be a great way forward in the way that they allow you to cater quite easily for a vegetarian or a vegan. But equally, it's great to maybe try and be a bit more adventurous. Why not sprinkle some nuts onto a salad, for example? That way you get the protein in with the salad. And it's important to think about the textures and the colours of your food to make the food visually exciting, to have different textures, where this is possible, of course, to make the plate look appealing. Older adults obviously have quite often reduced appetite. They maybe don't want to eat as much. If you make the plate look exciting, if you have great smells, great colours, it can increase appetite, which is obviously really important. It's so important not to just present a plate that's kind of creamy grey, because it doesn't excite anyone. Well, this is something actually that's come up recently, that we've been hearing stories about people who've been vegetarian or vegan, usually vegetarian, for a while, and they actually seem to be asking for meat. And it puts care staff in quite a difficult position, where they want to respect the person that they are today, who's asking for meat, but they also want to respect their ethical beliefs. This is a time where something like mock meats can actually be very useful, because you can create a meal that looks the same for everybody, but actually means that you don't compromise the vegetarian or the vegan's beliefs. I think quite a lot of vegetarians and vegans would be very distressed if they found that they had been given meat, even if they'd asked for it. Perhaps they don't realise they're asking for meat. Perhaps they're not aware that's what they're asking for. We've had a lot of phone calls recently where people have been expressing concern that if they did end up in care and they had dementia and they weren't able to speak for themselves, or they wanted something the other resident was eating, that they would be given meat. So it is something that really concerns people. This is where something like an anticipatory care plan can be quite useful. We also have a guide in our Vintage magazine, which is just a brief statement of wishes. So again, you can specify that if you have a deeply held belief that you would like this to be respected. And people become vegetarian or vegan for a number of reasons. Sometimes it's health, sometimes it's environmental concerns, and sometimes it's animal welfare. But these can be deeply held ethical beliefs, and it's core to the person's identity, very integral to their identity. And therefore, we'd really say, please try and respect this. It might be worth trying all your residents with a vegetarian or a vegan meal. For example, the World Health Organization recently said that processed meats were carcinogenic. Why not give everybody a dish with a substitute rather than processed meats, for example? It's a possibility. There was a story a while back about a lady called Serena Coles, who had been the president of the Vegan Society. She'd been vegan for most of her life. This was absolutely integral to who she was. She developed dementia. She went into care. Her family weren't that supportive and said it didn't really matter what she ate. And a friend of hers found her some years later and found that she was being given meat and dairy. But her friend was wearing a Vegan Society lapel badge, and Serena saw this and said that she was vegan too. And I think this demonstrates that although she didn't realise she'd been eating meat because of her dementia, she still fundamentally identified as a vegan. And I think that's a good way to illustrate how it can be so integral to a person's belief and how we really should try and honour it. Everything we've spoken about today is available on the Spotlight Food and Fluid on the Care Inspectorate Hub, and obviously on the Vegetarian for Life website. And you can find a lot of useful information and further resources there.